In this presentation, we're going to talk about the 10 principles of personal longevity and go into a little detail of what each one is all about. So here's a list of the 10 principles of personal longevity. They are laid out in a step-by-step manner to go through from 1 to 10 purposefully, and they cover all the areas of psychology, spiritual connection, vital forces, physical health, and intuition, as well as implementation. So we'll delve into these in more detail in the next slides. Principle number 1 has to do with the reality of long-lived people. We've gathered a huge amount of evidence of people who have lived well over the age of 120, some 150, 180, even a Chinaman who lived to 256 years old. This information includes not only pictures, but bios, and even some videos, as well as other types of evidence. The main point of principle number 1 is to get people to break open their preconceptions about what's possible in terms of a long and healthy life. The second principle of life purpose came about when I was putting the 10 principles together, and I realized that if a person didn't have a reason to live, then the whole rest of this wouldn't make any sense. So I put it in the second principle that we have to all determine what our life purpose is, that without a life purpose, life is really meaningless, and the whole scenario of a longer, healthier life doesn't make any sense. So this is the second principle. The third principle is enabling the life urge. We are programmed from birth to expect to go through different stages in life and then die. And I've got lots of stories that I could relate about that, but it's all subconscious programming. The idea is to change that subconscious programming with positive affirmations that we know we can live a much longer, healthier life than we ever thought possible. Principle number 4 is probably the most important, and that's about having a spiritual connection in your life, because I believe that we all have a spiritual core. And this is not a religious concept, but that this is all part of the total being that we are. And we can build that connection through anything from meditation to deep prayer to just walking in the woods and communing with nature. But it's important for us to have a spiritual connection in our life, because that seems to bring a blueprint of health down into our physical bodies. Having love in your heart. People talk a lot about unconditional love, and I used to think it was just a philosophical concept until I went through a lot of exercises in the last few years, and my heart opened, and it created a huge difference in my life. And I'm not talking just psychologically, but vital forces energy-wise, my heart chakra. So this is something that affects your happiness and affects your health, and I think even improves your immune system. So having love in your heart is one of the key principles of the 10. Your energy body. From my studies of Eastern medicine and Eastern practices, I've come to believe that we all have different energy centers, and we have vital forces that go through our bodies, whether they are the Chinese Qi energy lines and meridians that acupuncture works with, or the chakras described in Indian medicine and Indian energy practices. These are things that we can learn about and learn exercises for to help enhance our vital forces. The science of longevity is a key principle which includes 2 areas. One, there's a lot we can learn from very long-lived plants and animals because we share the same genetic basis with them. But there's also a lot of research in science and medicine which is making discoveries all the time we could take advantage of to help extend our long-term health in our lives, as well as different therapies and supplements which can help increase health and longevity. So this is a very important principle too. The health of your physical body is obviously something that traditional medicine focuses on all the time. Our approach is more of a preventative approach in terms of the things you can do with your body, supplements, nutrition, and those things which will help affect you positively, help your body remain healthy and have all the proper nutrition. Using your intuition for safety. One of the things I also thought about when I was putting this together was that once you are totally healthy, then what's the biggest danger to your life? And that is accidents. And through a lot of my premonition experiences in my life, and even some books I've written about it, I thought this is a technique that we can teach people, how to use their intuition to be safer. So this is another technique we teach, which is the 9th principle. The 10th principle has to do with implementing these principles in your life. A part of my career I spent as a project manager, and the whole thing has to do with implementation. So we can talk a lot of theory and we can talk a lot of practices, but if we can't implement those in our life, then it's going to be a waste of time. So one of the important things we do is we build profiles on a spreadsheet of non-physical and physical profiles. Here's some examples from our non-physical profile spreadsheet where we ask questions having to do with psychology, spiritual beliefs, vital forces, and other things, and then give people a score and a ranking. And we have ranking definitions for these different scores. And the idea is to build a score like an SAT score, where we can measure your non-physical health and your physical health through blood tests and other measurements, and again give a composite health. And we're developing some services, some concierge support services, which will take this to the next level. So now we've finished going through the 10 principles, and the last thing I'd like to say is the 10 principles are a key to personal freedom, because a big part of what we do is helping people break the psychological boundaries that they've lived under for most of their lives. When you do that, when you can think outside of the box, then you can have a much richer, fuller life, and hopefully a longer and healthier and happier one too. So thank you for your time.